Hey again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums. Along with my brother Adam and our friend Jack, I am Justin. What we do here on Wheel of Albums is we spin a wheel of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. From the book titled Robert Dimery, he wrote this thing. We listen to these albums. We let you know if we think it's an album you must hear before you die. This week, Jack spun the wheel, and he spun R.E.M's debut album from 1983, Murmur. Time to start interpreting Michael Stipe.
Initially, I thought I like R.E.M. I'm going to like this album. I couldn't off the top of my head say, oh, Murmur is the one that has, A, B, C, D. Probably predisposed to like the album. My only concern was I hadn't listened to the whole album in decades and was wondering maybe I have too much of a nostalgic feeling for it and I might not enjoy myself as much as I'm looking forward to. So it may be bittersweet.
Well, Justin and Jack, are you ready to talk about the passion of Murmur? Because I am. I'm pumped to hear R.E.M's Murmur. Excited to dive a little deeper because it's highly acclaimed by many, many people. And I look forward to trying to figure out why, since R.E.M. doesn't really become massive till much later in their career. So let's dive in to the beginning of this little alt college rock band from Athens, Georgia.
And not just the best band out of Georgia of all time, Adam. In my opinion, R.E.M., if not the best band of all time out of America, one of the best. Definitely one of my favorites. So my initial reaction this week, when Murmur was spun, was like, let's go back to where it all started. For four guys that had this great chemistry right off the bat. Wasn't my first exposure to R.E.M. That would have been Document. As the years rolled on, though, I picked up just about everything else.
My first R.E.M. album was Reckoning. So where would Murmur be if Murmur were on, I'm going to guess baseball team instead of T-ball team? A somewhat awkward kid on the team that has an understanding of the game but is doing his position, whether it be fielding or batting or throwing. He does it in an unorthodox manner, but it's interesting and it's still getting it done, but it's not the way you're used to, and it makes you still feel proud of what they're accomplishing out there on the diamond.
Murmur is the utility player on the team. Can play every position. Nickname for him, Swiss Army Knife, because he can do it all. And just when you think that you figured out exactly what he can do, he throws something else at you. Because it's like 12 different positions coming at you with Murmur and the 12 songs on it.
As it turns out, I think Mike Mills has a baseball-related project. I think it might even be called the Baseball Project.
Murmur is where the heartbeat begins with R.E.M., and murmur itself means a soft, indistinct sound made by a person or group of people speaking quietly or at a distance. And I think Murmur, you can kind of hear and understand what we're going to come to love about R.E.M. in their 30-plus years.
It'd be cliche for me to say that if we had a baseball team of R.E.M. albums, that Murmur would be the leadoff hitter, but it's youthful, it's exuberant, it's mysterious at times. It reminds me of like nursery rhymes, but told by kids that know what they're doing way ahead of their time. The stuff that they're coming up with sounds like it's from seasoned veterans, but there's this underlying juvenile type mystery that's going on.
1 minute you're loving Radio Free Europe, and the next you go, you know what, Shaking Through's a pretty cool tune, or I really like the arrangement on Laughing, and it just goes on and on. So every time you dip back into it, you just pull something new out.
R.E.M. has a distinctive sound, but they simultaneously have several distinctive sounds.
I distinctively hear future songs on Murmur, told in different incarnations. Like Don't Go Back to Rockville, it comes up on Reckoning. I hear the architecture for that song several times on Murmur.
I don't know that I can necessarily pick that there's songs that I hear that these were, for lack of a better word, demos or blueprints for, but nothing on this necessarily sounds like the song before or after it.
You say it best, Justin, where Murmur kind of lays the blueprint for a lot of R.E.M's career, and you can hear it in so many songs. We Walk, when you hear that, you think of the lighter side of R.E.M., I think, with like Stand and Shiny Happy People and Sidewinder Sleeps. And then you listen to Radio Free Europe and you think of songs like Finest Work Song, and you can see where It's the End of the World as we know it might come out of that.
Classic stuff. I forget how much I love a song like Sitting Still.
Sitting Still. I never took notice enough of when I listened to Murmur that it's where the band meshes together and just goes to another level.
It has the camaraderie of the fellows in the band. It has each opportunities to shine, but never necessarily as a soloist. It's impressive what they're doing this early on in their recording career.
I put on the headsets and just went out for a walk one day and put Murmur on. And I don't think an album we've done so far has made me smile as much as this album did. There's just something about R.E.M's IRS output that makes me feel good. An upbeat song like Pilgrimage gives a little extra force to my step, while Perfect Circle makes you more reflective on things.
Buck, Mills, Barry, and Stipe coming together and their personas and their musicality and what they bring to the table, they just bring so much of it that it's just kind of oozing with possibilities.
Spotlight on Peter Buck. Gotta be the beginning of Talk About the Passion. He's saying here, let me put this song on my back and you guys just build on it. We're gonna have a human pyramid of rock and roll.
Sitting still every time I listened to it, I kept upping the score till I maxed it out at a 10, and I'm gonna give that moment to Peter Buck as well, because I think his guitar work and the little chord progression that he's got, the throughout the song is top notch.
I think my favorite Peter Buck moment is the way he bends the guitar on Moral Kiosk. There's something about that that I really love. I think the Wire influence in his guitar playing, it's very like angular. He's definitely one of the greats.
The very moment. I'm gonna go that initial drum beat in Radio Free Europe. It drives that song. It makes it, that song could be interpreted different ways just if he just changes the beat a little bit. There's a different version of Radio Free Europe on IRS Records at Eponymous, which I personally prefer that Radio Free Europe. I recommend you listen to it. That even puts more emphasis on how powerful Barry drives that song.
For Bill Barry, I think my favorite moment on the entire album is Moral Kiosk. He throws down on that song and throws a great driving force behind a fantastic song, and I've always loved Moral Kiosk, one of my favorites from the album as well.
I like Bill Barry's drum work on Catapult. It's not one of my favorite songs on the album, but he kind of literally catapults that song along. Also, give him a little credit for the whimsiness as far as his subtle drum beat with We Walk.
Mike Mills, even though he's a bass player, gotta go piano on Perfect Circle.
For Mike Mills, it's got to be the harmonies, right? So I'm going to give my favorite Mike Mills moment to the song Pilgrimage, where we first hear his it's kind of like a haunting harmony that he puts behind Stipe's lyrics, which, you know, Mike Mills is by far, I think, the utility player.
He plays so nicely off Michael Stipe's vocals, and he even does more harmonies as the years go by. As far as his bass goes, I listen to Radio Free Europe and wonder who else could drive a song along with his bass as much as Mike Mills does on this album. Jack, I did own Eponymous as well, the other version of Radio Free Europe, and that's the first one I knew before picking up Murmur later on. I prefer this version of Radio Free Europe for some reason more, and I think the reason behind that is because of Mike Mills and Bill Barry's rhythm section on the version here on Murmur. Extra credit for shaking through.
So, Justin, you're asking, you know, what's the most misunderstood lyric from Michael Stipe on Murmur? I'm going to be honest, with R.E.M. and Michael Stipe, I've never, ever dug deep into what he's singing about. I think, you know, right as you're going into like trying to understand what he's singing about, the rest of the band jumps in and they go somewhere with their music, and it's like you kind of forget about it for a second. You just enjoy the song.
I'll still go with Perfect Circle just because he's saying words, again, I don't know what they mean, but they make me feel something. I was a young kid, and I'm feeling, am I sad? I mean, I haven't even lived long enough to miss things yet.
I always thought during laughing that he was saying, lied to, because he's got big feelings, and, you know, somebody is lying to him, and they're laughing about it behind his back. It turned out he's just saying lighted and not lied to. I like my version a little bit better because of the big feelings of Michael's.
It had a very emotional impact, just his words, and not knowing really what they were.
I think growing up never knowing what any of Stipe's lyrics were some of the fun behind R.E.M. You know, it's ruined now by just looking on your Spotify to see what he's saying. Because, like Jack said, it makes you feel good. This album made us feel good. It's our highest rated album yet in 58 albums, knocking off Judas Priest, British Steel, that held that top spot for a long time. Our final ratings, Adam gave it an 8.4167, Jack a 6.5. I gave it an 8.708 for an overall rating of 7.875. Our three favorite songs, Radio Free Europe, Sitting Still, and Talk About the Passion. The song that scored the lowest was Laughing. All right, we come to the part of the podcast where we let you know if we think this is the album you must hear before you die. I sometimes feel guilty thinking that Murmur is R.E.M's best album. It's certainly the one I think I enjoy more than any other one. For me to say that and know all the great stuff that they have coming up after it, I don't want people to think that I think that Murmur was the best they did. Everything after pales in comparison, because it doesn't. But there's something special about this debut album that if you haven't heard it before you die, I recommend that you should. To me, there's not a stinker on here. And I don't know if I can say that about every single R.E.M. album. So yes, you must listen to this before you die. Adam?
Do you need to question Michael Stipe's lyrics and listen to Murmur one time before you die? The answer to that is absolutely yes. And you don't need to just hear it once. You need to hear it, I don't know, 10, 20 times, because every time you listen to it, you get something new out of it. And the blueprint, like we said, that just shows where R.E.M's going to go in their career, and every song's fantastic on it. So absolutely, it's a yes for me. Gotta listen to Murmur, the faint beginnings of R.E.M.
Must you talk about the passion? There has to be other R.E.M. songs or other R.E.M. albums on this. And that I'm comparing Murmur to other R.E.M. albums or other R.E.M. songs probably isn't fair. But this is coming out of the gates, R.E.M., a bold statement by the boys, highly listenable, lots of influences. I'm going with yes, Murmur. Let the mumbles roar. Listen to Murmur before you die.
Wonderful time with Murmur this week. All right, I get to spin the wheel for the next album. Let's give it a tug and see what we get here. And the wheel is spinning around and around. And it lands on another 80s album. We're on a roll in the 80s right now. It's Talk Talk's third album, The Color of Spring from 1986. Next time on Wheel of Albums. Subscribe and like if you're listening and watching on YouTube. And give us a follow on Spotify for episodes almost every Monday.
I don't think I've been as mad at a singer as I am with Michael Stipe right now since back in season 2 with John Bon Jovi on Slippery When Wet, when all you're left with is questions. Just a couple questions for you, Michael Stipe. Why are we walking? What passion are we talking about, Michael? Is it passion fruit, or is it the love someone has for peaches? I don't know, and I've never dug deep enough to really understand. Why are we laughing, Michael? What are we shooting at with our catapult? I don't know if we missed anything, because I don't know what we're shooting at. Are we shooting at little boys and little girls? I don't quite get it. And what's a moral kiosk? Really, I don't understand. Why are we sitting still? What's west of the fields? And what does 9-9 mean? And just a little tidbit on 9-9. The opening bass line on that, if you listen to most Creed songs, yeah, I'm throwing Creed out there, I think they ripped Mike Mills right off on that.
Why Scott Stapp would never.
Listen to 9-9 in the beginning of that bass line. Boom, 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 boom.
Can you take me higher?